Now, we're going to dive into the ideal customer profile versus buyer persona. There's a lot of confusion around these two things. I'm just going to hit on some basics, okay? But people get these confused all the time, all right? So your ideal customer profile, or ICP, and the buyer persona, right? Those are similar, okay? But they're not the exact same. And you want to go through these exercises and get this nailed down before you start running your searches and stuff on Sales Navigator, unless you're just doing it to familiarize yourself with the platform, okay? And at the end of this, I'll go live online in my Sales Navigator and demo the whole thing for you as well, and show you where all the different lead filters and accounts and all that sort of stuff is on there, okay? All right, and as I mentioned, these are very closely related, but they're not the same, okay? So an ICP, or ideal customer profile, describes companies, right, that would benefit from your product or service the most, all right? So that's the client, not the client relationship, right? Not the person, but the company, okay? That's the big differentiator, all right? And some of the things that you want to look for, it's not as simple as just, well, anybody that needs to hire, accountants, because I'm an accounting recruiter, right? No, it's you want to focus this in on who has the fastest conversion cycle, the highest customer retention, lifetime value, all those sorts of things, and really drill down into that. Go through your current clients and past clients, obviously, and you'll see, if you keep that data, and you should, you'll start to identify who these ideal customer profiles are, okay, and be able to define that. A persona, on the other hand, describes the person, right? So it's your ideal customer profile, but it's the person with all the behavioral, demographic, psychographic, and firmographic characteristics, right? That's the marketing jargon. You'll see some examples of that when I do some things later on, especially with ChatGPT. I'll spell out the demographics and behavioral, psychographic, and stuff of my targets, and it's really pretty impressive. But and again, this buyer persona, it's a perfect representation of the person whose pain points, right, you produce. Or your product or your service solves the quickest and the most direct way. Remember, when people make buying decisions, it's usually one of two motivators. They're running away from pain, or they're running to pleasure. Sometimes those are loosely related, right? Because once you solve a pain point, that can create a pleasure, but it's one of those two motives, right? The example most folks use is, you don't deal with the airlines and buy a plane ticket, right? Because you want to fly on that plane. You buy the plane ticket, that the plane is just a means to an end, right? The real motive is getting to that tropical island when it's, January in Saskatchewan or wherever it is that you're from. So, all right. So these are obviously decision makers. They can, in some instances, be influencers or indirect, but anyone who's ever endured any of my sales training knows I don't believe in selling to the wrong end of the horse. Stick to decision makers, okay? And they can sometimes be an evangelist for your product or service, right? That makes for a great buyer persona. So for those in the M&A crowd, these would be, and really in a lot of B2B stuff, these would also entail referral partners, okay? Most B2B sales consultants will network with other professionals, CPAs, financial planners, attorneys, insurance agents, etc., who also have the same ICP, similar buyer personas, as an example. Okay. All right. So to sum it up, right, ICP is the company, while the buyer is the individual. All right. That's the easiest way I can say that. Okay. And yes, you can have more than one buyer persona within an ICP, especially with major account stuff, okay?